Hi everybody. Thanks for joining me here. I wanted to talk about things that I've tried, items, what am I calling this? Tools that I've tried and I love within my first year of knitting. So from like March or April of 2024 to right now, which is May of 2025. You know how it is whenever you're starting off a hobby that requires tools, materials too, yarn, which is going to be another video. I figured this would just be way too much if I tried to talk about that. But so join me. I'm going to go through some things that I have found I really love and things that I either didn't like, didn't work for me, or that I could just simply do without. So I'll start off with oh, by the way, I'm Renee. Thanks for joining me. I am in southwestern Pennsylvania, and what I'm wearing. I'm going to be talking about this in a different video, but I think in my last video, I was talking about the fact that I wanted to take my Stockholm sweater, slip over by Petite Knit, which I had made as an early garment, out of Walcott yarn in Walcott Yarn Origin, I think it is, and redo it in a shorter vest, a pattern that I had tried that I liked called the Open Trails Vest by Ashley Lillis. And I have redone it. There are issues, especially with the neckline. We'll get into it in that video. But just to say, this is what it is, the Walcott, I think it's Origins yarn in, I think the colorway is Petunia. It's a worsted weight yarn. All right, so I have a list here, which I often do not. So I thought I would do something smart and wear my reading glasses so I don't have to go back and forth with my eyes trying to focus on the piece of paper. Make it a little easier on myself. So when I started knitting in about March of 2024, I was taking knitting lessons. I had straight needles. That's what I showed up to the knitting class with, or to the shop with. And Carol was going to teach me some things and watch me knit. I'd taken classes a long while ago, and it never really caught on. And so I took the lessons. She didn't say much about the needles that I had, and I went on my merry way and I practiced stitch patterns. But then I lost a needle of the two in my sofa and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I went into her shop and said, I had two sets. I think there were like, to me, I'm guessing they were like US 7, US 8, that size. And I was saying I should buy another set because I have lost the knitting needle somewhere. And she said, well, you might want to think about circular needles. And everyone around me, we were in a knitting circle, had circular needles, but I just thought that's because they were knitting something circular. I thought that's the only reason you would be using circular needles. But she explained why, that it may be a good idea if I ever wanted to knit a garment and so on and so on. So the first set that I got, I researched this online. Affordable first-time circular needle sets. And I asked everybody in the group, do you like metal? Do you like wood? Why do you like wood? I'm including bamboo in that too. And I actually came up with this during my search. KnitPicks Interchangeable Needles Sunstruck Wood set. And I don't know if they were on sale when I bought them. They were, I'm gonna guess, like $80 or less for the whole set. And they go from a US 4 to US 11. That's a pretty wide range. And it comes with the cables and the tighteners and things like that. So, and I guess this is like a darning needle or I don't know what that is. So yeah, and this is how I started. The cables are fine, but they do have memory. So I was hearing about these non-memory cables, and I knew that at some point that I may want to, if this knitting thing was going to be a thing, that I may want to someday get the Chiagoos. So I did get the Chiagoos a little later. My Chiagoos are this standard set, and I got them from the Woolly Thistle because that is a shop. It was an online shop at the time. They didn't have their physical store yet, although they did then later in the summer. And the Woolly Thistle is a yarn shop that is known for their woolly wools, mostly British and European wools in New Hampshire. And I am now an affiliate with the Woolly Thistle. You'll see my affiliate link below. But I ordered these from them. This is the standard set, and it's only this side of the case. So I don't have the US 9 to US 15. I do have the US 2 to the US 8. And then these are some shorter needles that I got. I think these are even shorter than these of a US 3. I don't remember why I did that. That was something I did recently. These are about, what, 5-inch long? You can get 4-inch or 5-inch. And I asked some people who I was connected with on YouTube, and I got the 5-inch, and I don't at all regret that. I'm glad that I have those. So I was off and running, except the cables in this. I just solved this for myself. Except for the cables, like normally the cables are stored in here too. And when you'd open them, the whole bunch of spiraled cables would unfurl. And it was driving me mad because every time I wanted to change a needle tip or do a sample, a swatch or whatever, it would unfurl. So I happened to have this nondescript leather, not leather, why did I say leather? Vinyl case laying around that we got from somewhere. And I stuck them in here. I don't even have to zip this up. They just lay in here, spiraled up. And I have this in the same drawer as I have this. And now I can just go in and grab needles all day long. And I have the cables in here and it isn't driving me crazy. Oh, one thing I do want to say about the Chiagoos. What is important, which most of you know now, I'm sure, is that not only do you want to tighten them with the tightener T-pin, but you really do want to use this red rubber heart. Both mean that the needle is probably not going to loosen up. But I do find that if I don't do this step and I just use this, that eventually it's going to loosen up on my project. I love when I'm double checking myself really quick and I can't read what needle size I have. I love these that are in the case. This is an investment. I think these are about $110, something like that. I am so glad I have them. These are my pick for needles. These, I would say, if I was going on a trip and I didn't know whether it was a trip maybe overseas, that I'm just about to go on a dive trip, and if I was taking a garment, I would certainly take the needles out of the garment if I had already started it, but I would choose to take these because they're not as precious as my metal ones. They're not as expensive if I lose them, and also they may be less of a thing with TSA, whichever TSA you're going through. So I'm glad I have these. Okay. I have also found that, so I didn't have shorties, and I didn't even know why you would need shorties until I tried to knit a sleeve. And then eventually you need needles that are less than 5 inches. I don't do magic loop, so I wasn't going to be able to use my regular needles. I needed something a shorter circumference. So in the beginning, I guess I started using DPNs, and I still use these for mittens, although I didn't have my shorties when I was doing mittens. I don't know. But what would happen is, I mean, I was looking at this the other day. I'm surprised. Like, how do I have so many DPNs? I think it was also necklines. But why is so many? Well, yeah, because with the sleeve, you're going to need the, like, that's why I have a US 7 a US 3, a US 4. I mean, what? Wow, I have like a lot of these, but notice that they're all Takumi brand. And that's because anytime I would need a set of double pointed, I would go to Joann's and use their 40% off of one item. Every once in a while, they'd have 50% off of one item, and I would get these for 50% off. I also have fixed needles for socks. So I tended to use, this is a fixed needle set. This is a size 1. And this was the first needles, once I determined that I was going to be a 9-inch circular knitter for socks. This was the first pair that I bought. And I still love these. I love them. They're Clover, again, from Joann's. I used the 40% off one item coupon. And I got these little guys. And there's something just so satisfying. Except I'm now using size 0. So I'm not using these ones anymore. I mean, maybe I would use them for color work in a sock, but I haven't found that I needed to go back. But I use, when I get to the toe of a sock on 9-inch circulars, I use 2 so that you can put half of the needles on one, half of the needles on the other, and then do the decreases. And that's how you get to the, 8 stitches or 10 stitches left before you Kitchener. So I still have these. Right off the bat, when you get needle sets, when you start knitting, you're going to need stitch markers. And some of these needle sets, they come with these little beginning of round, I'm going to call them beginning of round stitch markers, because that's what I use them for. And I love them for beginning of round. This is always like the little O-ring is what I use for beginning of round. I don't know why, I just love it. I have them in different sizes. And I think once again, this was like something I picked. I think this is Clover brand, and they're really, some of them are really tiny. So if you're working on a tiny project, I just have these around everywhere. And speaking of around everywhere, here's my this was a little turtle that my daughter got me when she went on vacation. And it, of course, is housing some so-called light bulb stitch markers. These are something I bought really early because I knew, I could just tell, there we go, that I was someone who just wanted to use plain old light bulb stitch markers, and that was just going to be me because I was going to be losing them all over the place, which I do. They end up in the vacuum and I find them places, and that they're just so easy to travel with. And I bought these off of Amazon, 9 months ago or something. And I just love the fact that they're always around and they're no fuss, and they don't weigh anything. So that's fantastic. I don't mind if I'm losing them under my couch or whatever, because there's so many of them, low cost. Really early on, I learned that I cannot pick up stitches without a crochet hook. This is a 2.75. I have found the 2.75s are the best for me to pick up stitches. I have bought packs of crochet hooks, like 4 in a pack, the Susan Bates. I'm not going to say where I bought them, because just so I could have the 2.75. And I have a few of these. I always take one when I'm traveling. It's always with me. And then I picked up a pack of needles to weave in ends. I haven't done a sewn bind off yet. It's on my list. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be brave and I'm going to do it. But I was on a plane and I had not packed this, and I needed to pick up stitches on a sock heel, of all things, the tiny stitches. And I somehow did it with the needle, and I've never been able to do it again. I think it was just necessity or something was the key. And I just do so much better when I can pick them up with the crochet hook. Every once in a while, I'll try to do it with the needle, but then I think, why? I'm just going to do what I know I can do, and then if I'm in a desperate situation, I guess I will learn. But yeah, every once in a while, I do try to pick them up with the needle. Measuring tape. We had one of these laying around. It's Ryan Holmes, not even from a yarn store, but you could definitely use more than one. One I would just always put in the bag that you travel with if you're going on a trip, especially on a plane, so that you always have your tools together. So I tend to travel with this more than anything. And then for measuring swatches, I will sometimes use that, but I gotta tell you, I just use my ruler. This is from the London Museum. There's a museum, the Museum of London in London, and it has all of the British rulers on this side. Barber cord, so-called barber cord, the rubber tubing, the hollow rubber tubing that you can use to put your things on hold, your stitches on hold, to try things on, to rest the arm stitches to put arm stitches on hold or neck stitches on hold while you're doing other things to a garment. I bought barber cord when I was putting in an order to twice sheared sheep. I bought some of their merino little nuggets that I made a striped hat out of. Highly recommend. That is so much fun to do. And I didn't really know how to feed the barber cord through the stitches. I tried following what other people were doing that I heard about or saw on YouTube, and it just didn't work for me. I don't know. I find that the barber cord, the rubber, gets stuck and it doesn't flow as nicely as just using a piece of scrap yarn. So I just keep scrap yarn, of all different thicknesses in a little thingy up here, and then down in the living room in a drawer in a little IKEA tray like this, so that I've got, you know, sport weight, worsted, fingering, and I just always use scrap yarn. So that's worked for me so far. And then sometimes I'll take like a little nugget like this with me, but it's even smaller than that if I'm doing a sock with me when I'm traveling. All right, a few more practical things, and then we'll talk about a couple optional items that you either use or don't use. Practical. Blocking mats. Do you need blocking mats? Do you need blocking mats? You probably don't need blocking mats. I'm actually blocking something right now, a swatch. I actually made this much longer than I normally do. Amazing. You'll never see a swatch like this again for me, I don't think. But I did end up buying a set of blocking mats. I don't recall where I bought them from, but I took them out of the vinyl case and I just have them sitting like this on the top shelf of my closet, and I just pull down as many as I need to block something. But so I'm glad I have them. I'm not somebody who pins things. The only thing I pinned is if I'm doing like a shawl or a blanket that's got a I-cord edge that's the only thing I've ever pinned. I'm just a layer downer. And but still, I find that I can transport something outside, lay it in the grass, because I have these, or I can lay it on the deck. So I'm really glad that I got these. I was stubborn about it. And then I did it. Now I'm really glad that I have it. It's one of those things where, like, I didn't want to spend the money. Now I don't think about that, and I just like the fact that I have. Optional things. Project bags. These project bags are the only two project bags that I have, and they look really fun and like they cost some money. And I don't think they really cost that much money because they're almost 20 years old. I don't know why I have these, because I was barely learning how to knit in the little yarn shop that I got these in when I lived in the Harrisburg area. They must not have cost that much money. They're made by a place that I can't find anymore. It's called Rock Solid Designs. So for me, and this picture of the little stick figure on a mountain, I'm thinking this is a person that made chalk bags for rock climbers, and I was one then, and I am now. So that, I think, like, it really connected with me, because this just looks so unique, a unique design, that it just feels like she or he could have been making chalk bags also. So it's kind of like a square bottom or rectangle, and then it's got this lovely zipper that goes all the way down to the bottom, and you're sticking things inside. Here I have the Sophie scarf that I'm making out of some sock yarn, and it's gonna travel with me. Probably not in this bag, but I have it stored there. And then I have my sock project, which I'm gonna take. And this I probably will take, since it's such a small bag. This one I'm gonna stick in my luggage, and it may or may not stay in this bag. It might just go in a plastic bag. But yeah, I don't really use these, except, again, like if I'm traveling. I mean, if I have a sock, it's going to go in this bag, even if I'm not traveling. So that is true. I'm going to go back on what I just said. But otherwise, I have a shelf, and my projects just sit on the shelf, and then I just pick them up and take them either right here and knit, or I take them in my bedroom at the desk, or down on the sofa. I just carry them around, and they're up so that my dear Suki can't get them. And if I'm going to a knit day or a knit night, I have a tote bag, and I just use it it's like a Trader Joe's tote bag, and I just use it to put knitting stuff in. And I don't think, like, if I was taking a sock, then I'd put this in the tote bag, and then I would put the knitting project in the tote bag, and that would be the end of it. I have another tote bag, project bag that I won from a lovely YouTuber who is called Nestled in Knits. And she was giving away this project bag as I think she'd reached a milestone on her channel. And it's like a beautiful velour corduroy with these satin pulls, and it's so big that I will also take this with me to the knit night or day, and I feel so classy with this thing. It was sent to me from Paris, and I just won't ever forget it. It's not something I would buy for myself, but I'm so glad that I have it. So yeah, this is something else that I would take with me and just feel like so super organized and wonderful. I admire project bags. I really do. I think because I own these two, I'm like satisfied with these, and that's been really cool for me. My husband very kindly got me as a surprise a little project bag from my first so-called Rhinebeck, which is the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival. So forever I will have this little bag that's perfect for socks, to commemorate the first time that I went. So that's really cool. He like pre-bought it before the festival. I forgot something. I'm going to circle back and talk about shorties. I bought these pretty soon, once I had realized the double pointed thing with the sleeves and necklines and so on, and they are just invaluable. I have some on a project right now, but these are US 4 to US 8, and they're 2 inches and 3 inches. And very often, which is the case right now, I have a 2 inch on one end and a 3 inch on the other. I'm doing a garment, and it just works in the size of the body right now with my cord. So yeah, 4 to 8, and then you get these cables, and they are the same size. The coupling, I'll call it, is the same size as the red cables. So that works out really well. Invaluable for sleeves and so on. But what I was running into is that sometimes the ribbing would call for a size 2 or a size 3. These only go down to size 4. So I just recently bit the bullet and got the next size at my local yarn store. What was confusing to me and what I had to go on down a rabbit hole about was the cables on these smaller shorties are really thin and they don't fit your other red cables or this blue cable when you're trying to fit things together. These little babies go from size US 0 to 3. And I have one of the zeros gone because I made myself a second set of the sock needles to take with me. There's a special little attachment that you have to search hard for and try to find that will connect these little baby cable ends with the red larger cables or the blue cables. If I can still find it, I will link it below because it was very disappointing when I was trying to put together a cable long enough for a neckline that I wanted to do in a size 2, but I couldn't connect this with one of these because the end is much bigger and the needle end on these reds are much smaller. So there is something that helps make the transition, but I had to Google it and it's sold by Chiagoo. And I don't know whether I got it from Amazon. I finally found it. I don't recall, but I'll link whatever it is that I found. I'm very glad that I have these though, because I guess you're doing it with double pointed needles otherwise, or magic loop, which never worked for me. So that's why I didn't do it. Okay, sorry, this is a little discombobulated now. However, 2 more things, yarn winder and a Swift. I'll insert the photo of the those two items that I bought. I decided after winding my own balls of yarn, I decided that KnitPicks was having a sale, and that's when I picked up their plastic ball winder and the blue plastic Swift, and they're fine. I think my ball winder doesn't like skeins up or winding a ball of yarn that ends up really heavy, or like a sport yarn that's a little plump. It struggles and it squeaks now. It's fine for now. I'll keep it as long as I can. Oh, mini scissors. I don't have them here, but there are these plastic mini scissors with a cover that are perfect to travel with, and they always stay in my backpack that I travel with so that I always have them for any kind of clipping of yarn that I need to do when I'm on a plane or something. And one more thing, am I using a knitting journal? You know, it's funny, I thought I would use this. I put my little Rhinebeck sticker on there and everything. A beautiful journal that I got for free during my Vogue Knitting Live knitting retreat in Santa Fe. I started it, but I never used it. But here's what I am using it for. I'm using some of these plain pages, and there are a lot of them, to put down yarn recommendations that I'm hearing from other people on a video, or that I'm just using as my own notes. There was a video I saw that was talking about alpaca lace recommendations. So I jotted those down because I've used Uma by Amano, but and also Drops Alpaca Silk I've bought to test out, but she had other recommendations, so I definitely wrote those down. Yarns I've tried that are not too prickly, I'm keeping a list so I can share that with all of you. Then I have a page here that says yarns to keep in mind. So maybe I was at a yarn store and I felt a yarn and I was like, I think that's something I could wear. Not too, like it's not feeling prickly, and I'll jot that down. So those are the things that I'm using this for. I'm also starting to jot down my sock recipe. I'm just starting size 0 needles to try to get a tighter fit. I'm already using just 56 stitches on my sock. And so I'm keeping that page to get down my sock recipe, which I'm defining right now. But yeah, this is a good one. This is a good journal. It's got pages for your projects, and then it's got a lot of blank pages in between each project page. I like what I'm using it for because it's not just some random tablet that I'm not going to remember, that I'm keeping track of different yarns and so on. It's an actual knitting journal, so I'll know what that is. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm going to do a video on yarns that I've tried and specifically yarns that I've tried that I'm not feeling to be prickly since I have such sensitive skin. So that's coming in the future. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you in my next video updates on projects, some finished projects, and what I've moved on to, because I'm starting the new project that I'm doing is something new to me, a new type of a new technique that I haven't tried before. So I'm really looking forward to updating you. Thanks for sticking in there with me. Please share with, I just want to hear all of the feedback. Share with all of us anything that you've tried that that I haven't mentioned here that might be helpful for someone else as a resource. And otherwise, thanks for joining me. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll talk to you. I'll see you on the next one.